Hold up. Wait a minute now. Because I told y'all what's done in the dark will always come to the light. And baby, it looked like the light just came kicking on Malcolm Warner's front door, okay? Today, we are doing a reaction video here on Gigi the Icon. And let me make this one thing very clear. We don't know if everything in this video is fact. We're not here to confirm it, baby. We are here to listen, to discern, and to react, because what they're saying in these YouTube streets right now, whoo, honey, it is heavy. This video is titled, Malcolm Jamal Warner's wife finally revealed who killed him. And people online are claiming threats were made. Stories were covered up, and some are even asking, was he set up by someone close? Now listen, this ain't no small conversation, y'all. These comments, these people, they're grieving. They're questioning, speculating, and spiritually unsettled. One person said, why would she leave her daughter with Malcolm and disappear? Another person said, he looked drugged. Where was the daughter? And someone else had the nerve to say, this has Regina King energy all over it.
Y'all, Malcolm Jamal Warner's wife allegedly has broken her silence, and what she's revealed has everybody shook. After years of whispers, cover-ups, and unanswered questions, she's stepping forward with the identity of the person she believes is responsible for Malcolm's death. Let's be clear, this isn't some vague statement or cryptic clue. She's naming names, exposing details, and pulling back a curtain on a story that's been buried for far too long. But this is where it gets messy. She's claiming that before his passing, Malcolm was bombarded with anonymous threats, warning her to back down, and that he was being followed and watched. Looks like someone powerful is clearly trying to keep this truth from seeing the light of day, and they're not playing fair. So now the real question is, why? Why now? And who benefits from keeping Malcolm's death a mystery? Y'all, the deeper we've gone, the uglier it gets, and from the way that his wife is speaking, it's just getting started. So grab your receipts, because this isn't just a grieving widow speaking out. This is a woman on a mission to take down whoever's responsible, no matter how high up the chain it goes. Y'all, from the way that Malcolm's wife allegedly exploded, it's looking like she's coming for blood, because in her words, Malcolm didn't drown. She's finally ready to expose exactly who did it. She's not holding back, no mincing words, and not letting his killers walk free. Now forget what the media told you. She's calling it a full-blown cover-up, and what she knows now could flip everything upside down. Names, threats, motives, she's laying it all out, and the way she's talking, somebody out there was about to get exposed. But what makes her statement hit even harder is knowing how fiercely Malcolm protected his family while he was alive. He never shared their faces and never revealed their names, and he made it a priority to keep his wife and daughter out of the spotlight and away from public scrutiny. And now, even in her grief, his wife is honoring that. She's staying anonymous, but she's not staying quiet, because despite keeping her identity hidden, she's allegedly still coming forward with everything she knows. And the way she's doing it is controlled, calculated, and fearless. She's making sure that Malcolm's voice is heard, even if she never shows her face. The first thing she did was shut down the drowning story, because in her words, there's no way Malcolm died in that water. According to her, he was already gone before he ever hit the ocean, which is why he couldn't fight to save himself when that rip current hit. It's claimed that Malcolm was a strong swimmer, like really strong, and he knew how to handle those rip currents. This wasn't some freak accident where he panicked or didn't know what to do. And the part that really didn't sit right was that there were bystanders trying to help, and even then he didn't respond. That's when it looks like something was seriously wrong. There's claims that an autopsy was done shortly after Malcolm's death and found no water in his lungs. And if that's true, it completely changes everything, because if there's no water in the lungs, that means he couldn't have drowned. At least not in the way that the media's been pushing it. So now the question becomes, what really happened before he hit that water? Well, it looks like his wife might be claiming he'd been poisoned with an untraceable poison, and that he was pushed into the water as a way to hide the evidence of the crime. But why on earth would anybody want to take Malcolm Jamal Warner out? I mean, he was calm, low-key, and completely unproblematic to most. He kept to himself, stayed out of drama, and somehow managed to show up in the spotlight without getting caught up in scandal. That alone made him rare in Hollywood. So why would anybody want to see him him as a threat. It looks like his wife might be saying that Malcolm had started speaking out, and not just casually. She claims he was getting more vocal behind the scenes, calling out some very powerful people, and apparently they didn't take that lightly. See, Malcolm was starting to make waves because his podcast, Not All Hood, was hitting a nerve. He was calling out the industry's hypocrisy, exposing the quiet struggles black actors face, and pulling back the curtain on how things really work in Hollywood. It wasn't sugar-coated or watered down, and the more honest he got, the more uncomfortable it made certain people. And in one particular episode that I'm going to play, Malcolm doesn't just talk, he was naming some patterns, challenging power, and waking people up. And that kind of truth-telling usually comes with consequences.
The reason for the title is combating the narrative of black life, black culture that the media focuses on. And
that was all one thing.
Yeah.
Hold up, y'all. If they're saying what I think they're saying, then baby, we're gonna need answers from the family today. Now see, that right there, that's why folks don't trust these headlines. This is why we say the spirit never lies. The body can be buried, but that soul is still crying out for what? Justice.
The whole concept is, we're not all hood. The black community is not a monolith.
Well, Malcolm also wasn't afraid to ask the uncomfortable questions out loud, like when The Cosby Show got wiped from TV the moment Bill Cosby was convicted. Meanwhile, movies by people like Woody Allen and Roman Polanski are still airing like nothing ever happened. He openly called out the double standard. When it's a black man, the whole legacy gets torched. And when it's a white man, then suddenly everybody wants to separate the art from the artist. And that right there, that kind of honesty, made him a problem for people who benefit from silence. But that's not all, because Malcolm also said that the powerful white execs in Hollywood were stirring up chaos in the black community on purpose. According to him, they were the ones encouraging drama and pitting successful black men against each other for the entertainment and profit. Just last year, he called out the entire Kendrick versus Drake feud, saying it wasn't just rap beef, it was calculated and it was bad for the culture. He said it glorified violence, ego, and division, all while powerful people sat back and cashed the checks. And fans also noticed that Malcolm was sending a very subtle but powerful message in his final podcast episode. He spoke about how the media has a pattern of stripping black men of their humanity, how they're constantly boxed in, labeled, and pushed to the edge simply for existing. But the part that really raised eyebrows was when he hinted that he was getting ready to expose all of it. Looking back, a lot of people felt like he was trying to warn us and maybe even knew that his time was running out. This is what he said.
Black community is not a monolith. There's so many levels and lanes to the black community, and we wanted to have a space where we could discuss all of those lanes, because they're so varied in terms of our perspectives and our opinions and our ways of life, and we wanted to be able to have a place where we can talk about all of those things, discuss all of those things, and shed light on the not all hood aspects of who we are.
But y'all, allegedly his wife says that there's too many things that just don't add up. And that's exactly why she might be convinced that Malcolm's death was no accident. So let's talk about the rescue. It supposedly happened on a public beach in broad daylight and bystanders around. But somehow not a single photo or video has surfaced from that moment. And in a time where people pull out their phones for everything, that's more than a little suspicious. But what makes this even more unsettling is what came out next. A short clip has resurfaced recently that allegedly shows Malcolm walking alone on the beach shortly before everything happened. No one knows who filmed it or why it never made the news before. It's almost like somebody was watching him, and now people are starting to question if he was being followed.
Now we finally have an update on the drowning death of Malcolm Jamal Warner. Now, according to ABC7, they stated that Malcolm Jamal Warner had drowned while he was on vacation in Costa Rica. Now, the article goes on to say that Warner had drowned off the coast of Costa Rica on Sunday. So this actually occurred on Sunday. They stated that the Costa Rican National Police had told this to ABC News.
Then there's mystery around the second man who was in the water with Malcolm. To this day, nobody knows who he is. His identity has never been made public. And from what we've heard, his situation wasn't even that serious. He was out of the hospital within days. There were even rumors of Malcolm's 8-year-old daughter being involved, and she barely had to go to the hospital, but Malcolm was the only one who passed away? Yeah, the math ain't mathing on this one. There's too many variables. And now there's where things start to get murky. Malcolm's wife said the autopsy report came out and clearly showed that he didn't drown. No water in the lungs, no signs of struggle in the water, none of it's adding up, but the Costa Rican authorities claimed an autopsy was done and ruled the death accidental. But the catch is that the full report still hasn't gone to be released, not to the public, not even to the family. So now people are asking the obvious question. This was just a tragic accident. Why is there so much being kept under wraps? And finally, there's no real explanation to why Malcolm went into the water in the first place. This wasn't just any beach. Locals say it's known to be dangerous, with red flag warnings up that day and barely any lifeguard presence. So now the question is, why would Malcolm, a strong swimmer and a cautious person by nature, suddenly throw all that out the window? At this point, fans are no longer buying the official story. A lot of people now believe his wife was right all along. Malcolm didn't ignore the warning signs because he never willingly went into the water. Let's be real. We've seen this before. Outspoken black artists who refuse to play the Hollywood game always seem to face the same fate. Either they're pushed into the background or they die suddenly in ways that just don't sit right. And now it's looking like Malcolm might be the latest in that long, tragic pattern. But this is where things get even more suspicious. According to his wife, allegedly, the real reason Malcolm went to Costa Rica in the first place was because he'd been getting flooded with threats and he needed to clear his head. She claims the threats weren't just random hate mail either. These were serious, anonymous, and completely untraceable calls warning him to stop speaking out or his family would pay the price. And apparently all this started after he began doubling down on his activism and calling out the way black artists were being treated in the industry. So now people are asking the obvious question. Was Malcolm really just trying to relax in Costa Rica, or was he running from something far more dangerous? There's claims the calls allegedly left him rattled every single time, to the point where his entire mood would shift after receiving just one. That's also why, according to her, Malcolm started dropping cryptic hints in his final podcast episode, hinting that he was finally ready to expose everyone and everything, no matter the consequences. But before he could make that move, he drowned. And just like that, all the truth he was carrying died with him. And now, with Malcolm gone and the official story full of holes, his wife is risking everything to speak up because whatever Malcolm uncovered clearly made him a target. The unanswered questions, the mysterious threats, the missing footage, this doesn't look like an accident. It looked like a cover-up. And if what they're saying is true, then whoever silenced Malcolm isn't just trying to bury a man, they're trying to bury the truth. But they might have underestimated just how far his wife is willing to go to make sure his story doesn't end in silence.
Now listen, I'm not saying this video is 100% truth. And I'm not saying the wife did anything, but what I am saying is this story has been off from day one. From the moment they said he drowned in Costa Rica trying to save a child. Then they said she wasn't there. Then said he was seen walking like he was drugged. Then they said it was a heart attack. Which one is it? This ain't adding up, y'all. And the fact that so many people are spiritually disturbed by this, that says a lot. Honey, we've seen this before. Good men who try to speak up, uplift, and live right suddenly drown, suddenly get found dead, suddenly die from no investigation, and nobody is held accountable. They tried it with Malcolm, but baby, Malcolm's soul is still speaking. And y'all better believe, if the wife has something to say, we need to hear from her mouth. Not a rep, not a photo, not a PR firm, because the people are watching. If y'all want me to go live and do a deep dive with this on this video, drop a comment and say, go live, GG, because I'm feeling like it's time to gather the receipts, piece this thing together, and expose every lie they trying to hide the truth with, okay? This is GG the Icon, and I will never stop asking the hard questions. We don't play with justice, we don't ignore spiritual red flags, and we never let the enemy win. Stay prayed up, stay focused, and stay ready to crash the party, okay?